If you missed part one, well, I'd prefer you go and watch that first, but regardless, let's go through a quick recap. Last October, thanks to my producer friend Tony, we set out on a 3-day road trip through Oregon, stopping to see some of the most iconic filming locations in the area. We started things off at St. Helens, aka the real-life Halloween town, before heading off to Astoria to check out some places from the Goonies, but we kind of hit a small snag, and by that I mean I grabbed the wrong suitcase when leaving the airport and in turn screwed up our entire schedule, but luckily somehow Tony refrained from killing me, and with the help of his friend that lived kind of nearby, we did get things figured out and got back on the road. And while the Goonies locations were already closed by the time we did get there, Tony did have 2 more awesome spots for us to see. The Astoria Column, aka the most gorgeous view I've maybe ever seen, and then we went to explore the infamous haunted North Head Lighthouse. Tony then dropped us off at our Airbnb in Seaside, and after a good night's sleep, it was time for day 2. Our first stop of the day was Cannon Beach, or more specifically, Haystock Rock. This was definitely one of my favorite stops of the trip, and I definitely don't think video or pictures do it justice. But speaking of, both the rock and the beach in general make appearances in several movies. Most notably, it shows up a few times in Goonies.
I think I have a match. I'm sure of it.
And then awkwardly what I recognized it most from, Twilight. We spent at least 45 minutes here, I'd say. We obviously had some really obnoxious photo shoots. This is also definitely the moment that I decided on Valentine's title switch from makeup artist to photographer after seeing these. Are you kidding? These are the best photos I've ever taken. And obviously Tony went above and beyond as usual. This is the sign of a true Instagram photographer. Turn around. Look at how wet his butt is because he was in the water taking pictures of me. But eventually our California bodies got cold and it was time to head to our second stop of the day, returning to Astoria. Because remember, everything was closed when we went yesterday because I screwed everything up? Yes, well, today we would return after a quick pit stop. Apparently, we've never seen wildlife before. We did it!
Awesome.
After indulging in our little National Geographic fantasy, we hopped back in the car and headed towards Astoria, and it wasn't long before we realized that yet again we were on track to arrive after places were closed. But luckily Tony made a call and the lady at the museum was an absolute angel who was willing to stay late and offered to give us a private tour. have returned to the county jail from Goonies because, remember, it was closed last night because I forgot my suitcase. But we came back, so now we get to go inside. You excited? Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I feel like they're gonna keep me there. Our first stop was the Oregon Film Museum, which, as you might guess, highlights and celebrates the movies made in Oregon. But the coolest part is that it's housed in the Old Clatsop County Jail from the opening chase sequence in the Goonies. It first opened back in 2010, coinciding with the 25th anniversary of the Goonies, and now every year, thousands of movie fans, and more specifically Goonies fanatics, visit the town and live out their childhood nostalgia.
You see some that say, never say die, I beat cancer. Some of them make you want to cry, some of them make you happy. They just make you really pleased that you get to be a part of this thing that has affected so many people's lives. Yes, this is probably obvious, but one half of the museum is Goonies-centric, and the other half is dedicated to all the other movies that were filmed in Oregon. Your parents' garage is My parents' garage makes a very small appearance. That's amazing.
And once we finished up at the museum, we headed across the street to another Goonies landmark. This is the Flavelle House, or better known to Goonies fanatics as the museum where Mikey's father, or Mr. Walsh, worked. And while it's definitely recognized by Goonies fans, the real-life history associated with the house and its residents is a bit darker. And actually a bit confusing, because apparently there are two Flavelle houses in Astoria, but apparently they're both haunted. This one in particular was built back in 1884 and was home to Captain George Flavelle, one of Astoria's most influential citizens of the late 1800s. After Flavelle's death in 1893, his wife, Mary Christina, lived in the house with the couple's daughters, Nellie and Katie, until her death in 1922. Katie and Nellie also lived in the home until their deaths in 1910 and 1933, respectively. Apparently, it was converted to a museum back in 1951, and ever since, there have been a number of reports of hauntings on the premises. These encounters range from anything from disembodied voices, said to be those of the Flavelle family ghosts that still haunt the property, to reports of phantom music being heard, most often on the first floor in the music room, where the Flavelle sisters, who were apparently gifted musicians, would hold recitals and perform for their guests. In fact, one of the volunteers once claimed that she heard music coming from the music box that used to be in this room. Apparently, the box had a large, heavy lid that had to be lifted in order to start the mechanism, and even though the volunteer would sit in the hall near the front door and could see everyone who came in and out, she would hear the music box playing even when no one was inside the house. Upon telling her coworkers about it, they revealed they had also heard it several times. And according to a blog, in 2006, reportedly someone was told that the music box used to be in the music room, but one day when volunteers came in, it was gone. And despite there not being a break-in, apparently to this day, still no one knows what happened to it. Volunteers have also told stories of strange things happening in the bedroom of the daughter, Katie. They've claimed to have closed the curtains, and when they leave the room and return a few minutes later, the curtains are opened again. They believe that it's the ghost of Katie who's responsible, who was said to have always wanted her curtains open during the day. Other sightings have included a woman's ghost that's been sighted in the second-floor hallway, who disappears when approached. Meanwhile, in the bedroom of Mrs. Flavelle, visitors have also reported smelling a floral scent even when no one is around. As for Captain George Flavelle, his apparition has also been seen in his bedroom, but witnesses say that he vanishes into the floor once his presence is seen. According to a blog, a volunteer once told a story of a man who paid for the tour, but shortly after came running down the stairs and outside, refusing to go back in the house. When asked why, he told them that he saw Captain Flavelle in the bedroom, and when he called for his wife, who was in the other room, he noticed the captain disappear as if sinking into the floor. And while we didn't notice anything paranormal during our tour, that could also be attributed to the fact that we didn't know it was haunted. With that in mind, I watch a lot of paranormal stuff, so I went back through my footage for anything that might be weird, like a weird orb or anything, and it turns out there were a few. Honestly, they can probably be chalked up to lighting reflections, but I want to see what you guys think about this one in particular. It was not focusing very well, and then on top of that, look at this. Did you see it? Let me play it again in slow-mo. I mean, I don't really know how confident I am in this. I'm gonna need my paranormal people to speak out in the comments below and let me know what you think. Did I catch a ghost? Or is this just me reaching really far? Either way, let me know in the comments below.
This is how I know I'm with my people. It's when I see somebody in front of camera and I see somebody shooting like this. Hi, Fred.
Hello. He's really committed.
Very committed.
And that wraps up day 2. We drove back to Portland to our second Airbnb of the trip, and in the morning we would leave to visit our last 2 locations, including the Timberline Lodge, aka the hotel from The Shining. Subscribe for day 3.